I spend more time in Google Books than I do in bed. I found an 1889 recipe for a paint stripper using a purified form of potash and quicklime. Since I don't have any pearlash on hand at the moment, I'm going to go ahead and use sodium hydroxide, which may give me a similar result. I'll make two versions of this. The first one I'm using just hydrated lime. In mixing it, I found that it was very difficult to get it into a paint-like consistency, and that'll cause me some problems in the future. Now, one note about sodium hydroxide, when you add water, it becomes incredibly hot. It is a very caustic material, and I really should be wearing gloves, safety glasses. Hell, a full body suit would probably be much better. Mixing it, it turned more into clumpy paste, which I wasn't pleased about, and it was just very difficult to cut it down to a paint. We smear it on kind of like a cottage cheese. I cover the rosette, some of the surrounding trim on the door, and then I put some on the top corner of the door. Once this is smeared on, I take a damp brush and kind of thin it out. That increases my coverage dramatically, but it's not the ideal solution. For the second batch, I am using a fully slaked lime. It's actually a lime putty that's been setting for several months now. I add the sodium hydroxide. Once I begin adding the water, it almost instantly becomes a real thin paint, and that's what I want actually. I'm actually using a clay flower pot for this sample because, like I said, this material becomes extremely hot. Once this is all mixed up, I'm ready to put it on the paintwork. Since this has the consistency of a paint, I'm able to actually put it on directly with a brush. I splashed a little on me and it burned a bit, but that's life. Now the modern equivalent, I bought at Home Depot for practically, well, it didn't cost too much. And this, of course, is ready to be applied immediately. I brush it on the rosettes, the surrounding woodwork. I have gotten some of this in my eye before and it burns and it needs to be flushed out immediately. 12 hours later, each sample has a different appearance. Scraping the paint from the first sample, it's doing okay. It didn't strip it all the way down to the plaster, which was kind of disappointing. I think I got down to the second to last layer. Around the rosette cleaned up reasonably well. The results were very uneven, and it took a great deal of pressure to actually remove the paint, which is bad when you're dealing with historic woodwork like this because you do not want to damage the wood. I would highly recommend not using a metal putty knife like I am here. Use something plastic. It would be much easier on the woodwork. However, I was very careful and did no damage. The second sample was immediately far more promising. The paint came off in long sheets. Any of this material I got on my hand burned. The modern stripper was kind of messy. It was drier than the historic mix, but the paint was just coming off in very small flakes, which I did not enjoy working with that. Makes cleanup a pain in the neck, but it's still cleaned up reasonably well. So, which do I prefer? I have to say I much prefer that second sample. It was easier to clean up and I enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more comparisons of modern materials and their historic equivalents, let me know in the comments below.